This call is now being recorded. So now I welcome you to this energy audit and management course. We are into now lecture number 3. The outcome of today's lecture will be students will be able to differentiate between energy efficiency and energy conservation, summarize the importance of energy conservation, list down salient features of Energy Conservation Act 2001. In the previous lecture, we discussed about present energy scenario, the energy pricing, energy sector reforms, and energy security. Today, we will be talking about energy conservation, its importance, Energy Conservation Act, features, and so on. Basics of energy also we have completed, and also material and energy balance that is remaining. So today's key abbreviations. You must be using OneNote for taking down the notes. So one page you create for abbreviations because this might be asked in the term test as a multiple choice question. So today's abbreviations are GHG, that means greenhouse gas, then CDM, that is clean development mechanism, ODP, that is ozone depletion potential, GWP, that is global warming potential, and DSM, that is demand side management. So these words we will be using frequently in our course. Some of the words we will be using in today's presentation as well. Okay, so this was where we stopped yesterday in our lecture number 2. We were into sustainable development goals and we were talking about there are total how many goals? Total how many goals are there? Sustainable development goals specified by UNDP.
17.
17,
13.
correct.
17, sorry.
So out of that 17, we are targeting 7 and 13. So 7 is affordable and clean energy, and 13 is climate change. So what is how India has come up, or what is the policy that India has defined to achieve this sustainable goal number 7? So you see the goal talks about ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Right? So you see that globally 12.6% still lack electricity, access to electricity. Means what? Energy sector accounts for roughly two-thirds of global GHG emissions. Now, GHG came here. What is GHG? Greenhouse gas. Energy sector, total energy sector in the world roughly accounts to two-thirds of the global greenhouse gas emissions. And globally, 12.6% lack electricity, lack access to electricity. What is the condition in India? Nearly 80% people have access to electricity. That means 20% still are not having electricity. But you see, on the other hand, we say 100% villages are electrified. Can anyone explain this to me? These are contradictory statements. You feel 100% villages are electrified and nearly 20% of people do not have electricity in India. Can
So,
somebody explain? Yeah.
so this could mean that uh, there are electricity means there are electricity. What can I say, sir? There are electricity, basically the boards and the equipments all available, but electricity is not there.
Right, correct. 100%. So 100% villages electrified means what? The electricity cables, the transmission lines, transformers, everything, the everything electricity board is set up. Okay, electricity is there, but people are unaware of its usage in India. We do have villages who have not seen electricity. Okay, so why they have not seen electricity? Because who will pay? How much will be the cost? Electricity was considered to be as luxury item in India. So before independence in in the year 1915, electricity was considered to be a luxurious item. Earlier, we had British Raj. Okay, earlier we have British Empire, then we have British Raj. Okay, then Indian independence came. So earlier it was British Empire, then came British Raj. Okay, so 1 minute. So during this British Raj period, only electricity was available to industries. Okay, and there were no power plants. Then one person came forward and made the privatization of this electricity. So electricity was only by the government, that is British Raj, and that electricity that was produced was used by industrial sector, we can say, because it was considered to be a luxury item. Then Tata Group came forward and they put up their own private electricity generation plant in Jamshedpur. Okay, then but what was the cost? Who will bear that cost? So Tata Group was able to convince the landlords, or we can say kings of that region, to give that land to them, to give some money, and then they were able to set up the electrical plant which was made used to household, Raja Maharaja. Okay, then came the popularity of electricity, and then was used for common household for everyone. Okay, so this was happening, and then still we can say after independence also 20% of villages are not having electricity. So you can see what is the impact of electricity in our case. So power cables from the grid have reached a transformer in each village, but 31 million houses are still without electricity. On top of that, government has now made an ambitious renewable target of 175 gigawatt of renewable energy, in which 100 gigawatt will come from solar, 60 gigawatt will come from wind, 10 gigawatt will come from biomass, and 5 gigawatt will come from hybrid power. Okay, so what is hybrid power, by the way? So I told you cogeneration. That means addition of industry process heat also and electricity also. So we are having one topic in module number 6, talk about waste heat recovery. So waste heat recovery can be used to generate electricity. Now gigawatt you appreciate, right? Gigawatt. So watt, kilowatt, megawatt and gigawatt. Getting the idea? So 100 gigawatt will come from solar, 60 gigawatt will come from wind, 10 gigawatt will come from biomass, and 5 gigawatt will be hybrid sources. This is what is the affordable and clean energy plan for India. Similarly, for climate change, you see without any action taken, the world's average surface temperature is likely to surpass 3 degrees Celsius in this century itself. Okay, then nearly 300 million people depend upon forest for their subsistence and livelihood. That means even if you will visit some villages now, how many of you are from Konkan area, Konkan villages?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if
Yes,
you
sir.
visit villages, you must have seen there are there are plantations which grow for an entire year, and they harvest just before rainy season. They store it and they use it for water heating, also some part of cooking. If you visit the place of Orissa, Jamshedpur, that place, West Bengal, still people are using that coal-fired chulas for cooking their food. Okay, so nearly 300 million people are depending upon forest for their livelihood. India is third largest greenhouse gas emitter, responsible for 6.9% of global emissions. So if global emissions considered is 6.9%, 7% is coming from India. Okay, then by 2030, 33 to 35% of the of the GDP will be used to reduce the emissions. Okay, so GDP, some part of the GDP will be used for such projects which will be reducing the emissions. Okay, then 60% of the land is used for agriculture and 24% is under forest cover. So we are also, India is also planning to increase this forest cover and also agriculture land. Okay, but that this will not happen individually, this will happen collectively. Okay, highest ever alternate energy capacity installation in India. Okay, we have seen the graph for energy scenario that renewable energy is now increasing. Correct? So by 2020, committed to reduce emissions intensity of its GDP by 20 to 25%. So this is the target by 2020, 20 to 25, and by 2030, 30 to 35%. Okay, so these are the we are actually, when we talk about climate action plan. Okay, so this clean development mechanism will come under climate action plan, which is to combat the climate change and its impact. You see, this COVID-19, you must have heard this article that the environment is getting cleaner. We are now seeing animals roaming freely on the roads. This is what small changes can affect the climate. So you see that bad changes will also affect the climate in that manner. Process is slow, but definitely it is going to affect. Yes or no? So up till now, what we have discussed is we are having too much dependence on the fossil fuels. We talked about energy security. Energy security means we are able to supply energy to all its citizens, meeting their demand at all times at affordable cost with 95% the confidence level, including the disruptions. This is energy security. So energy security also talks about energy substitution. If one of the sources are hard to find, we have to look for alternatives. We have to implement sustainable lifestyle, but not on account of nature. So sustainable lifestyle we discussed in the previous class, that is using our resources in such a way that our future will also get the benefit of the same. We have also talked about how India is more predominantly talking about renewable energy policy. So all our actions are going for renewable energy policies. India is making new policies related to renewable energy. Correct? So here I would like to ask you one question. What, according to you, are the basic needs that can be met without using natural resources? What, according to you, are the basic needs that can be met without using natural resources? Basic needs are food, clothing, and shelter,
Yes.
and internet. So these basic needs, without using natural resources of coal, oil, natural gas, can we do it? Can we use cars without using fossil fuels?
No, sir.
Why not?
Sir, we can make use of natural gas, compressed natural gas, CNG.
CNG, can we not make use of electric vehicles,
Yes, sir.
vehicles running on hydrogen, which is plenty available in nature? There are hydrogen powered vehicles in Germany.
Yes,
Again,
sir.
the hydrogen could be natural resource, no?
Yeah, but natural resources which are harmful to environment. So solar is also natural resource.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So natural resources which can hamper the climate or environment, those natural resource alternatives we can see. Say for example, for cooking purpose, cooking is our basic need. For cooking, what we use? LPG we use, biomass we use. So instead of LPG, can we use solar operated cooking?
Yes.
right? The countries which are full-fledged with having geothermal energy can use geothermal energy for heating. Our India is not full-fledged with geothermal energy, but then we can divert this hot water to residential people for cooking purpose. We can have Fresnel lenses. We can have parabolic trough collectors. You know Shirdi, Sai Baba Mandir.
Yes, sir.
So there the project of Arun Solar is there, where all the cooking takes place with the help of parabolic trough collectors and solar cooker. Okay, so type of project we can see. So you see, what is this image? Pollution. Why this is happening? Because of technological advancement. Is it true?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So technological advancements we do, and that results in this kind of pollution. Social and economical reforms, the reforms that we make, the policies that we make towards social and economical development of our country results into health hazards. Setup of thermal power plants will cause air pollution. Setup of nuclear power plants. So does that mean that we should not advance technologically? We should not go for the policy framework for social and economic development of our country? Dependence of fossil fuel is going on increasing. Climate change is happening. So what can be the solution? What we have to do? We should leisure, but at the cost of nature. Leisure we are doing at the cost of nature. So this must not happen. We should control our leisures so that nature will be saved. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now, how electricity comes to you? Take any power plant, the efficiency of the power plant will be around 30 to 35%. Hydropower plant, 60% efficient. Thermal power plant, 30 to 35% efficient. Nuclear power plant, 60% efficient. Yes or no? Solar power plant, how much?
20%.
20%. Correct. So this efficiency we are not taking. So we see that how the power plant will convert energy into electricity. So we will take one example like hydropower plant. Hydropower plant, the energy comes from potential difference of water. This potential difference of water is converted into turbine. Turbine converts into electricity. This efficiency is 60% for hydropower plant. Example of thermal power plants: coal is fired in boiler. It converts water into steam. Steam is expanded in the turbine and we get electricity. So electricity is over here. So electricity comes here. This electricity will go for, so every power plant will be having some kind of motor or turbine. The motor and turbine for power plant is 90% efficient. After that, there is a substation. Okay, after motor and turbine, there is a substation. So electricity is generated at around 33 kV, 33,000 volts. Why this is at 33,000 volts? Because it needs to be supplied to various locations of the state. So this is called as substation or power station. From that power station, we have transmission and distribution. Efficiency is 83%. So what is loss? 17%. After transmission and distribution, you have seen these are cables that travel from, say, Koina power plant to Vasai. So Vasai East, we have one substation. It can be seen from our college, yes or no? So transmission and distribution, which are the cables, here 17% loss is there, 17% loss. Then comes transformer. Transformer is placed at your location. If you peep out of your window, there will be one transformer. Okay. So electricity reaches to your transformer, which is 95% efficient. So how much is the loss? 5%. Then you have your end use equipment. End use equipment will be your laptop, your television, refrigerator, washing machine, mixer grinder, water heater, okay, geyser. These all will be your end use equipments, which are not 100% efficient, but these are 70% efficient. So how much is the loss? 30% loss. So if I cascade all these efficiencies, 90%, 83%, 95%, 70%, if we cascade all these efficiency, we get 50% efficiency. That means 50% loss. So unit is what? One unit means what? 1 kilowatt hour. Yes or no? 1
Yes.
kWh. So 1 unit saved is equal to 2 units generated at the power plant. That means if you are having a 100-watt bulb, if you switch off 100-watt bulb at your place, 200 watt of electricity will be saved at the power plant level. Getting the idea? This is the power. So next time when you switch off the light, you have to understand that how much light I am saving is 2 times of the power that is saved at the power plant level. Now you see, for generating of that 200 watt of power, 20 kg of coal is required. Just an example. Yes or no? Now if you see, for so you are saving how much? 20 kg of coal. Now 20 kg of coal you are saving. That makes a difference when you say that that coal is brought from Indonesia through sea route. So how much kg of fuel will be saved for not burning in that vessel? Are you getting the idea? So just switching off 100-watt bulb at your place will prove to be so much consequence in the generation level, in the transportation level, at the import level, and to the country. But why you will switch off the 100-watt bulb? Can anybody tell me why you will switch off this 100-watt bulb? You require 100-watt bulb for studies, for your home, for lighting purpose. So your requirement is there, and on top of that you will not switch off. So what can be the option? The option will be to replace 100-watt bulb with a lower power consuming bulb, but that should give you the same efficacy. That means the same purpose. Say for example, 100-watt bulb is giving you 1000 lumens of light. That 1000 lumens of light, if it is coming from another source which is consuming lesser power, then you should go for it. That is called as energy conservation. So when you talk about energy management, two things you discuss predominantly. First is energy efficiency, the other is energy conservation. Objectives of energy conservation. We have to reduce the load on fossil fuels. We have to look for alternatives. Also, we have to talk about the issues related to health hazards. So 25,000 megawatt can be just saved by implementing the end use energy efficiency. This part, you see, end use equipment. Even if we use highly efficient equipments, forget about transformer, transmission, distribution, motor, turbine, power plant. Do not worry about that. Only you take into consideration your own house. End use equipment. If you do that, end use equipment efficiency potential in India is 25,000 megawatt can be saved by just implementing end use energy efficiency, energy efficient equipments. Please write down. Energy efficient equipments can prove to be a potential source for energy conservation. Okay, so what is energy management then? The judicious and effective use of energy to maximize the profits or minimize the cost and enhance competitive positions. That means in between two organizations, VCET and TCET, VCET is predominantly achieving a competitive position because they are implementing energy efficiency measures. How? By following some rules and regulation that is judicious. Also, they are using effective use of energy, and because of that, everything related to money, so maximize the profit. Okay, and because you are doing that, you will be having some grade, some rank, and you can enhance competitive positions. Okay, this is clear for you. Shall we move forward?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So then what is the meaning of energy efficiency and what is the difference between energy efficiency and energy conservation? Energy efficiency involves the use of technology that requires less energy to perform the same function. Energy efficiency involves the use of technology that requires less energy to perform the same function. Television, CRT, cathode ray tube televisions consume more power than LCD. LED will consume less power than LCD. So these are the technology developments which are there, perform the same function but uses lesser energy. So we should always think about using these energy efficiency devices. But what about conservation on the other hand? Energy conservation includes any behavior that results in the use of less energy. Talking about energy television itself, such as purchasing television for energy efficiency use, that is LED purchase, and not using energy. So switching off the television is energy conservation, whereas using television but energy efficient device will be for energy efficiency. Okay. Focus on the equipment or machinery being used. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Focuses energy efficiency focuses on the equipment or machinery being used, and energy conservation focuses on the behavior of the people. Okay, so you see, you go to the washroom and you use a LED bulb, but you come out of the washroom by not switching off the lights. That is your behavior. So conservation is when you are used your washroom, you have to switch off the light. That comes from behavior. Okay, you understood the example now. So one
Yes, sir.
example is installing LED light bulbs throughout the house, and one example is using LED lightning throughout the windows rather than turning on the lights. So if while designing, civil people will appreciate this, that while designing a building, we talk about energy efficient building. One such building is there in Maharashtra, in Lonavala, which is I don't know the name, but yes, you can search for Trios Plaza in Lonavala. It is an energy efficient building and it have earned lot of rewards from energy efficiency measures and Energy Conservation Act. So Trios Plaza, you search for, it is in Lonavala. Um, so it is an energy efficient building in which natural lighting is made. The windows are made in such a way that it will not require any refrigeration or air. It will not require any air conditioning. Double glazed glass. It will not allow the heat to pass, but light to pass. Such kind of we can say glazings are available. Window glazings are available. So you can think of it.
So it's basically a plaza mall.
Yes, yes. Trios Plaza Mall is a energy efficient building in Lonavala. Have you visited?
No, sir. I just heard about it.
Yes, it is a energy efficient building, and it is structured in such a way that it permits natural lighting. So one example I would like to ask you here, that if I want to have natural lighting in my house, where should be the windows of my room, so that for the entire year I should get natural light. Mumbai people, Mumbai, staying in Mumbai, Maharashtra, India, where should be the location of my window so that natural lighting, as it will be assistance for natural lighting for the entire year.
On the top,
Just think and
on
say
the
yes.
top roof, sir. On the top roof,
Uh,
sir.
see, see, is it possible for a building to have a top roof every flat?
No.
No, sir,
Definitely
no.
not, right? So I am asking about a normal building. Where should, as a builder, civil person,
Also
civil,
facing north or south.
it can be either north or it can be either south, no?
Yes, sir.
Right. So south facing wall will receive sunlight most of the time, because we are on the latitude of 19.5 degree latitude. Our sun travels most of the time in the entire year. The sun is in the southern hemisphere. That means we are in the northern hemisphere, right?
Yes,
Tropic of Cancer passes through us. So
yes.
it is having a equator, and Tropic of Capricorn is on the other side, south side. So always the sun will be in the south. So the wall which is facing towards the south will always receive sunlight for the entire year. So this is natural lighting. So we should think of geographical conditions also. What is the wind direction, average wind direction for that particular region, so that natural ventilation will take place. Okay. So but is it possible for Mumbai to set up such kind of buildings? We are having very lesser space. Wherever the place is there, there we set up a building. So it becomes very difficult. But in a place like Lavasa, in a place where new locality is forming, Nanded city of Pune, so there, or Navi Mumbai, Sidco taking place. Okay. So at that place or new building, when we are planning, this town planning should take into consideration what will be the wind direction, what will be the natural lighting, assistance for natural lighting, and that is one of the procedure which is followed for energy conservation. Okay. So to get a rough idea about the overall clean development mechanism potential in a building sector, we first do a top-down assessment of the energy saving potential by adopting the following procedures. So if you want to reduce your energy consumption of your house, of your building, of your organization, then we have to follow a top-down assessment and should follow a clean development mechanism. Identify the clean development mechanism potential of your organization, of Vidyavardhini. How? Analyzing the current rate of energy consumption in building, that is residential and commercial. Ours is a commercial setup, Vidyavardhini College. So you analyze the current rate of energy consumption. You will observe such kind of pattern. See, you will observe the pattern in our college as this way. Okay, what is this pattern? When the college starts, energy consumption increases. Then there is an exam period and vacation. Again, the start of second term, and then it will not be zero. It will not be zero, but it will be a base. That means this will be the fixed. What is this? This is time. This is the time of the year. This is the energy consumption. So this kind of pattern, this is called a load curve. This kind of pattern you will observe. Current rate of energy consumption in a building. Compare with other countries having building energy efficiency codes and its effects. So compare with another energy efficient building in the locality which is following these energy efficiency codes, building codes, and what will be its effect on our building. How much we will be saving. So for other building, such kind of load curve is there. Okay, such kind of load curve is there. So you see, this much amount of saving is possible. This much amount of loss they are having. This much amount of saving is possible. So analyze that saving and loss. Whether saving is more or loss is more. Okay, this kind of comparison we can do with the help of other, this is called as benchmarking. So energy efficient buildings are there. I told you, which Trios Plaza is there. So our mall can follow some part of the energy saving measures which are followed by Trios Plaza in Lonavala, and then we can see and analyze how much saving is possible if I implement this kind of setup in our building. Then suggestions of possible energy efficiency measures in building and estimation of payback period, and verification of actual energy saving through monitoring. So all these things, see, analyzing, comparison, then suggestions, estimation, and verification. All things are related to energy management. Analyze, compare, suggest, estimate, and verify. Everything is looked after in energy management course. Okay, so energy conservation can be done by energy auditing and management. This is what is the takeaway up till now, that if you want to have energy efficiency and energy conservation simultaneously to achieve sustainable growth in an organization, we must think of energy audit and management in that organization. So there comes Energy Conservation Act. What is the background for Energy Conservation Act that we are now talking about? Okay, so India needs to sustain a GDP growth rate of over 9% per annum. Okay, over the next 2 to 3 decades in order to eliminate poverty. So we see that energy efficiency, energy conservation, energy audit and management, entire thing is related to the development of the country. So in order to achieve a 9% growth of per annum of the GDP, we should think of implementing the Energy Conservation Act. And that was the reason Energy Conservation Act was formed. This was the background to form the Energy Conservation Act. Energy consumption will need to grow at a commensurate pace for such a growth of GDP. The present installed capacity, you see, when we see the graph of energy consumption, it is continuously increasing. If you look at energy pricing, continuously increasing. If you look at fossil fuel depletion, continuously increasing. If we see the carbon dioxide emission, continuously increasing. To address this issue of increasing carbon dioxide percentage, increasing global greenhouse emissions, we should talk about Energy Conservation Act. Okay. So estimated potential for energy saving during peak hours is 9240 megawatt. The need for efficient use of resources, energy conservation assumes significance and must be an integral part of the policy tools. So whenever we form a policy, there should be a mention of how much will be the energy consumed by this policy implementation. We want to set up, if you want to plant, if you are a farmer and if you want to plant rice plantation, if you want to do a rice plantation can be done with the help of animal power, can be done with the help of tractor, can be done with the help of modern tools of farming. You should consider what will be the energy impact and environmental impact of my actions. If I want to set up a mall in Mumbai, what will be its energy impact? What will be its environmental impact? This thought process is being implemented by Energy Conservation Act. Till 2001, there was no such act. And if you want to set up a power plant, if you want to set up any industry, nobody was asking you about what will be its energy consumption, who will monitor its energy consumption. If you are going surpassing the benchmark, then you should come under this jurisdiction. You are eligible for penalty. There was no such act till 2001. And then came Energy Conservation Act 2001, an act to provide for energy efficient use of energy and its conservation, and for matters connected herewith or incidental to. That means there was a jurisdiction, there was an appellate committee, there was rules and regulations, efficient use of energy, sector-wise transformation took place. So we have steel industry, we have paper industry, we have textile industry, all coming under this law, Energy Conservation Act, Energy Conservation Law, monitored by Central Government of India. Okay, so this law extends to whole of the India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir, because the 371 was there. Okay, so at that time state of Jammu and Kashmir was not included in India in 2001. It was enacted by Parliament in the 52nd year of the Republic of India. That means 52 years it took for it to be implemented as an Energy Conservation Act on October 2001. And always there is a God for everyone. So for us, the God is Bureau of Energy Efficiency. For any energy auditor or manager or a student who is studying energy efficiency or energy conservation, energy management, for them, everything is done by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. It is a government undertaking, central government. It is a government body which talks about all its efficient use of energy and its conservation. And the formation of Bureau of Energy Efficiency took place on March 2002, and still it is running. Okay. After Energy Conservation Act, Electricity Act was formed in 2003. So Energy Conservation Act in 2001 and the Indian Electricity Act in 2003. So till 2003, there was no monitoring of electricity usage. I told you in 1913, the first instant of electricity was seen. Okay. So I will share you one paper which talks about how the electricity came into existence in India. I will share this after my lecture. I will share it on our Google Classroom, that how electricity came in India. It is a good paper to read. Please read that paper. Very interesting. that how electricity came in India, and electricity came in India in the British Raj. And now in 2003, there is an act. That means who should use what amount of electricity is now being set up as an Indian Electricity Act. We have in our syllabus Indian Electricity Act 2003. We will be discussing it in further lectures. This Energy Conservation Act in 2001 got amended. Amended means what? The modification in the rules and regulations in 2010. So now it extends to state of Jammu and Kashmir also. More powers to the central government and Bureau of Energy Efficiency. More powers are given to central government and Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Then state nodal agencies like the MEDA, Maharashtra Energy Development Agencies, these are nodal agencies, are a part of the action plan. That means now the state government can also submit their action plans to Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Earlier, what used to happen? Bureau of Energy Efficiency would make policies related to country. But Maharashtra state may have different geographical conditions as compared to country. So now state nodal agencies are also part of action plan, and they can submit their policies to Bureau of Energy Efficiency and get it sanctioned and implement it at the state level. This happened in 2010 amendment. Now there is a appellate tribunal also for energy related disputes. Okay, burning of coal, low quality coal, if I burn, then I will be penalized by the state government or central government or Bureau of Energy Efficiency. If my power plant is a low grade coal, so I should use low grade coal for burning. If my power plant is set up for high grade coal, then I must not use. It is similar to my Wagoner runs with petrol and I use kerosene to burn it. You do it, right? Rickshawalas, they do that. It is meant for petrol, but then they mix kerosene in that and then they run it. It is environmentally, it will impact the environment, hazardous to human beings. So if you do that, you will come under tribunal. Energy related disputes will occur and you will be penalized. In 2001 Act, fine was around 1000 rupees. If you break any laws, rules and regulation, there are total 70 to 80 sections of this Energy Conservation Act. Each section, if you break the rule, 1000 rupees was there for a nominal kind of breaking of the rule. It was now converted to 10,000 rupees in 2010. If the fine was around 10,000 rupees, it is now increased to 1 lakh rupees just for breaking the under designated consumer. That means if you are consuming 100 megawatt, 500 megawatt of power, then the fine are in millions. If you do not appoint energy auditor for conducting of energy audit, the fine is in millions, right? So next lecture is completely dedicated to Bureau of Energy Efficiency. What is Bureau of Energy Efficiency? What is the role of Bureau of Energy Efficiency? What are the policies made? What are the plans, action plans of Bureau of Energy Efficiency? How we can make use of Bureau of Energy Efficiency for our case, energy auditor exam, energy manager exam. We will be discussing in our next lecture, completely dedicated to Bureau of Energy Efficiency. If there are some questions now, you can ask me. Questions? Anybody?
No, sir.
Okay, so I have taken the attendance also, and I will now stop recording.